Well, the stack of sources we have today is, it's pretty heavy. I
Well,
think the atmosphere is kind of warranted.
I was going through it all. We've got Eric Fromm and Rilke, Carl Jung, Lori Gottlieb, Byung-Chul Han. And honestly, about halfway through, I didn't want to take notes anymore. I just kind of wanted to stare at the ceiling.
But it wasn't like a physical exhaustion, was it?
No, no, it was something else, a different kind of weight. And I think that's actually the perfect place to start because one of our sources, the philosopher Byung-Chul Han, he actually puts a name to this feeling.
In the Burnout Society.
Yeah, he talks about the unsteadiness of the eyes. Yeah.
That phrase.
It just hit me so hard. Unsteadiness of the eyes. That feeling when you can't quite focus on anything. You're just scattered,
Yeah.
vibrating with this like low-level anxiety, and you just can't land.
Han is brilliant on this. He actually lays out two different kinds of tiredness.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think this is key to everything we're talking about today.
Okay.
So first, there's what he calls eye tiredness.
Eye tiredness. What does that look like?
It's the exhaustion of the person running the race alone,
Mhm.
against themselves. It separates you. It isolates you. It actually makes you blind to the world because you're so wrapped up in your own fatigue.
It's a tiredness that says, I'm running out of battery and no one else is in the room.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is the default setting for so much of modern life. It's just lonely. You feel depleted, and you look around, and everyone else just seems like an obstacle.
Or a distraction.
But he contrasts that with something he calls we tiredness.
The tiredness.
And it's a reconciliatory tiredness. It's the exhaustion you feel after a long day of like shared work or a really deep conversation.
Yeah.
It disarms your ego. It kind of loosens the walls.
He says in that state, the other becomes I.
Yeah. It's a tiredness that actually trusts the world.
I think. I think most of us are just stuck in that eye tiredness, and that's really what we want to get into today. We are not here to give you, 5 tips to hack your burnout.
Please, no
Yeah.
productivity hacks.
No, we just want to sit with this stack of books from Jung, all of them, and just try to understand this heaviness, this feeling of being invisible, even when you're supposed to be so connected. So if you're listening, just sit with us. We're just thinking out loud.
So let's start with that feeling of isolation, the eye tiredness, because it comes from somewhere really, really primal.
The prison.
The prison. Yeah, that's from Eric from The Art of Loving. And people see the title and think it's just about relationships, but he's going so much deeper. He argues that the most fundamental human need is just to overcome our separateness.
Because we're born alone. We're cut off.
We're severed from nature, and we're severed from each other. And Fromm says that being separate means being helpless. It means the world can just invade you. He calls it an unbearable prison.
And he says this is the source of all anxiety, not just some of it, all of it.
All of it. And guilt and shame. When you think about the story of Adam and Eve, it's only after they have that self-awareness, that moment of realizing, I am not you, that they feel shame.
They cover themselves. They hide.
They hide.
And hiding. That's such a huge part of this. It makes me think of Guy Debord. We have his Society of the Spectacle in the stack. And usually, people hear spectacle and they think of, I don't know, TV or social media.
Or just content.
Yeah.
But Debord meant something much deeper about our relationships.
Yeah. He says the spectacle isn't just a collection of images. It's a social relationship between people that's mediated by images.
Mediated by images.
Think about that. It's like we're sitting on the same couch, but we're not touching. We're both just looking at the same screen. Debord says the spectacle reunites the separated, but it reunites them only in their separateness.
Oh, that is a haunting phrase. Reunites them only in their separateness.
It's that feeling of scrolling Instagram and seeing your friends' lives and feeling like you know what's going on, but you haven't actually talked to them in 6 months.
You're consuming their image, not connecting with their person.
Yeah.
And they're doing the same to you.
Right. You're united by the data, but separated by the reality.
It makes me think of that story from Lori Gottlieb's book, Maybe You Should Talk to Someone. She tells this story she heard from the writer Andrew Solomon. He was at a conference, and he met this married couple.
I remember this one. This one really hurt to read.
It's just so throughout the day, the husband and the wife, they each separately confessed to Solomon that they were on antidepressants,
Wow.
that they were really struggling,
Wow.
but they were hiding it from each other.
In the same house, sleeping in the same bed. In the same house, hiding the same pills, probably suffering from the exact same eye tiredness, and just nothing, performing wellness for each other.
But why? Why hide that from the one person who's supposed to be your partner?
I think it goes back to David Reisman from The Lonely Crowd. He describes the inner-directed person who's just constantly plagued by doubt about their own state of grace.
And that state of grace isn't religious anymore, is it?
No, it's totally social. You have to constantly monitor yourself. You have to prove you're not apathetic. You have to prove you're happy. If you admit you're struggling, it feels like you're admitting some kind of personal failure.
It's the masquerade. Reisman talks about the fear of apathy. Like, we're terrified that if we stop performing, if we aren't crushing it, then who even are we? We might just disappear.
And the tragedy of that couple is it's the intimacy gap. You're sitting in a room with the person you love most in the world, and there's this, Gottlieb calls it a deafening silence.
And the fear is that if you break that silence, if you just say, I am hurting, that the whole connection will just shatter.
But the connection is already broken. That's the irony. You're protecting something that doesn't actually exist because you're both in your own separate prisons.
It's the fear that if we reveal our separateness, we'll be rejected. So we perform, we smile for the photo, we maintain the image so we don't have to feel the distance.
But why is it so terrifying? I mean, really, why is it so hard to just be with ourselves or be real with someone else? Why do we run?
Because of what we're afraid we'll find in the quiet.
The void.
The void. Gottlieb has another story. It's from Sherry Turkle's research at MIT. This one is, I mean, it's pretty dystopian, honestly.
A robot seal.
Yes, robot seal. It had fur, eyelashes, motors inside. And Turkle was in a nursing home, and she was watching this elderly woman just interacting with this thing. And the woman who'd lost a child and was deeply lonely, she's just pouring her heart out to this machine.
Oh, God. That's profoundly sad.
It is. She was talking to it about her loss, and the robot would just, nod its head or move its eyes.
Yeah.
And the woman felt heard.
So we're so desperate for connection, we'll accept the illusion of it.
We'll take a machine over nothing. We'd rather have a robot than silence.
The theologian Paul Tillich talks about this in The Courage to Be. He calls it the anxiety of emptiness and meaninglessness. It's that deep fear that at the bottom of it all, there's no script, there's no point.
And what do we do to handle that if we don't have a robot seal?
We build what Tillich calls castles of certitude. We become fanatics. We conform. We dive into work. We just do anything to avoid facing that abyss. We give up our freedom just to feel safe.
We busy ourselves so we don't have to hear the silence. That's why I scroll on my phone until my eyes hurt. Because if I stop, I have to think.
Right. If I'm busy, I exist. If I'm productive, I matter. If I stop, what am I?
But the things we're running from, they aren't always monsters, are they? We assume if we stop, the demons will get us. But what if that's not true?
No. And this is where Carl Jung just flips the whole thing on its head.
I love this dream image from Man and His Symbols.
So there's a woman who keeps having this nightmare. She dreams that burglars are breaking into her house.
Which is the classic anxiety dream. Invasion, loss of control. The sanctuary is breached.
Exactly. She's terrified. But in the dream, she eventually finds out the burglars, they aren't there to hurt her. They're actually artists. They're disguised helpers.
And Jung's interpretation is it's so brilliant. He says that the shadow, the parts of us we deny that we lock out of the house that often contains our gold, the burglar was her own creative instinct trying to break in.
That gave me chills when I read it, because we treat our sadness or our doubt like intruders. We call the police on them. We try to medicate them away. But maybe they're just the artists trying to get in.
But we have a security guard at the door. Julia Cameron, in the artist's way, she calls this the censor.
Or the logic brain. The part of me that's editing the script in my head while I'm trying to write it.
Exactly. The logic brain wants survival. It wants safety. It sees the burglar of some big emotion or a creative idea, and it says, nope, that's dangerous, not efficient, not rational.
That is not gonna look good on your resume.
Precisely. The censor attacks us to keep us safe. It's that voice that says, who do you think you are? It's the voice that kept that couple hiding their antidepressants. It says, if you're vulnerable, you will die.
So we're caught between the prison of separateness and the terror of the void. And the second we try to step out, the censor just beats us back. I mean, no wonder we're tired. No wonder my eyes are unsteady.
It's exhausting. It is the definition of eye tiredness. But there's another way to frame this.
And that leads to the doubt itself. I actually found a lot of comfort in, of all things, a book about writing, Stephen Pressfield's The War of Art.
Self-doubt can be an ally.
Yes. He says that the person who's faking it, the counterfeit innovator, is wildly confident, but the real one is scared to death.
Because fear is an indicator.
Right. He says fear indicates love. If you didn't care about the work or the relationship or whatever life you're trying to build, you wouldn't be scared. You'd be indifferent. The fear is a compass. It points to what actually matters to you.
So that shaking in your voice,
Yeah.
that unsteadiness Han talks about, it's not actually a weakness, it's a sign of aspiration. It means you're close to something real.
If you weren't close to the treasure, the dragon wouldn't be breathing fire at you. That actually makes me feel a bit better. Which brings us to Rilke.
Ah, Rilke, Letters to a Young Poet.
I think everyone reads this in college and kind of forgets about it, but reading it now, late at night, it hits different.
Rilke really understood this descent. He talks about the great sadnesses.
Yeah, he describes sadness as something that enters the house of the soul. And he says when a great sadness happens, we change. It enters us and transforms us before we even know what's happening.
And his advice is so counterintuitive to our whole fix-it culture. He tells the young poet to have patience with everything that is unresolved, to love the questions themselves.
Live the questions now. God, that is so hard. I want the answer. I want the spectacle to tell me who I am. I don't want to live the question. It's incredibly uncomfortable.
Because living the question means sitting in the dark for a while. Julia Cameron has a great metaphor for this. She calls it mulling.
Like baking bread.
Yes. The creative process, and I would say the process of just becoming a person, is like baking bread. The dough needs to rise. It needs the dark. It needs time. If you keep poking it, asking, is it done yet? Is it done?
You ruin it. It stays flat.
You kill the mystery. Einstein called mystery the most beautiful thing we can experience. We have to let the dough rise in the quiet. Let the sadness do its work without rushing to fix it.
But the quiet is where the loneliness lives. That's the catch-22, right? We need the quiet to become ourselves, but the quiet hurts.
But this is where we have to make a key distinction, one that Susan Cain makes so well in Quiet. There's a huge difference between loneliness and solitude.
Okay, unpack that. Because they can feel pretty similar when you're in them.
Loneliness is the pain of being alone. It's the prison Fromm talks about. It's feeling cut off. But solitude is a fertile state. It's where the mulling happens. It's where you're not cut off from yourself. You are with yourself.
Cain talks about those high reactive types, the people who feel like, I think she quotes someone describing a character as having one skin fewer than other people.
Yes. And if you have one skin fewer, the world just hurts more. The noise is louder. The tragedy feels sharper. And so you need to withdraw, not because you hate people, but because you have to process the sheer intensity of being alive. You need to retreat to solitude to recover from the spectacle.
So solitude is actually a restoration.
It's the only place you can hear the burglar knocking.
There's this moment in Gottlieb's book that perfectly captures that shift. She's in therapy with her own therapist, Wendell, and she's used to performing, right? Being the witty, entertaining patient.
The good patient. The one with the funny stories who makes the therapist laugh so she doesn't have to cry.
Right, but there's a session where she just stops. She can't speak. She just sits there, and she's terrified. Wendell is bored. We're judging her. But then they just sit in the silence.
She realizes she doesn't have to entertain him to be worthy of his time.
Yeah, she calls it a knowing that happens without words. It wasn't the deafening silence of the couple with the pills. It was presence.
That's the wee tiredness coming back, the walls coming down.
So how do we get there? If I'm listening to this and all I feel is the eye tiredness, the isolation, how do I find that quiet presence?
I think you have to stop willing it so hard. Lewis Hyde, in his book, The Gift, he says you have to suspend the will so that something other can come forward.
Suspend the will, that sounds absolutely terrifying to a control freak like me.
It is. But you can't force connection. You can't force the bread to rise. You have to surrender.
Which brings us back around to tillage, the ultimate comfort.
The courage to be. Tillich says the ultimate form of courage isn't the courage to fight or achieve or conquer. It is the courage to accept acceptance.
Accept acceptance.
To accept that you are accepted. Even in your guilt, even in your doubt, even in your eye tiredness, you don't have to be confident. You don't have to be fixed. You just have to be.
It reminds me of Han again, that phrase, the other becomes I. When we stop fighting, when we are just tired together, the separation dissolves.
It does. That prison door Fromm talked about, it was unlocked the whole time. We just had to stop rattling the bars long enough to turn the handle.
I think that's where we need to land.
Yeah.
We started this deep dive feeling, well, heavy, exhausted. And to be honest, I still feel tired. This didn't magically fix anything. I'm not suddenly full of energy.
But maybe it feels a little less like a malfunction.
Yeah, it feels less like a malfunction. That the feelings, the invisibility, the doubt, they're not mistakes. They're the burglars.
And the Burgos are the artists?
Jung talks about the great man in the heart, the part of us that speaks in dreams and intuition. That part of us is trying to say something, but it speaks quietly. It speaks in the silence.
So, if you're listening and you feel that soul tiredness, maybe don't try to fix it tonight.
No, don't poke the bread.
Rilke wrote, "Let the impression complete itself in the dark, in the unsayable, the unconscious, and wait with deep humility and patience for the hour when a new clarity is delivered."
Wait for the new clarity. It might not come tonight, and that's okay.
That's okay.
Thank you for sitting with us in the dark.
Good night.
Great.